Pest control companies charge $400 to treat a roach problem that comes back in 3 weeks. I know this because my neighbor paid it. Twice, same roaches, same kitchen, same bill. I grew up on a 200-acre farm in Millersburg, Ohio. We had grain storage, livestock feed, root cellars, open compost, every condition that should have made roaches completely uncontrollable. In 30 years of farming, we never had a roach problem that lasted longer than 48 hours. We never called an exterminator once. What we used cost less than $1 and has been sitting in your kitchen this entire time. Today, I am giving you everything. My name is Samuel Mast. I spent 30 years farming in Holmes County, Ohio. No electricity, no pest control contracts, no monthly service visits from a man in a uniform who sprays something that stops working before his truck leaves your driveway. Roaches were a serious threat on a working farm. Not because they are dangerous, but because they contaminate food stores. They get into grain. They get into root vegetables. They get into anything stored in a cool, dark place, and they reproduce so fast. A small problem becomes an overwhelming one within 2 weeks if you do not address it with a method that actually works at the root level. Every Amish farming family I grew up around had dealt with roaches at some point, and every single one of them solved it the same way. Using materials that cost almost nothing, required no professional application, and produced results that lasted permanently. What I am about to share is not a folk remedy. It is not a home hack pulled from a blog. These are methods tested season after season. Let me start with the most important thing most people never understand about roaches. Why everything you have tried has failed. Roaches are not a surface problem. Every solution that addresses only the surface is solving the wrong problem. A single female German cockroach carries an egg case containing 30 to 40 eggs. She carries this case on her body until they are ready to hatch. Sprays that kill adult roaches on contact do not penetrate the egg case. The adults die. The eggs hatch. Within 2 weeks, you have 40 new roaches. The roaches you see represent roughly 10% of the actual population. The 90% you never see are the ones reproducing continuously. The Amish approach addressed the other 90%. It used a substance that kills roaches through physical mechanism rather than chemical toxicity. Roaches require 3 things to survive and reproduce in a structure: food, water. Food for roaches is almost anything organic. Crumbs under the stove, grease film on the back of the stovetop, pet food left in a bowl. Water for roaches is equally accessible. A slow drip under the sink. Condensation on pipes. A damp sponge left on the counter. Harborage is where homeowners never look. The space inside a cabinet hinge. The hollow space inside your refrigerator motor housing. Now I want to tell you about the substance my community used for generations. It is not a chemical. It is diatomaceous earth. Diatomaceous earth is the fossilized remains of diatoms. Under a microscope, each particle has extremely sharp edges. The microscopic sharp edges pierce the waxy protective layer of the roach's exoskeleton. The roach dies from dehydration within 48 hours. A 2-pound bag of food-grade diatomaceous earth costs between $8 and $12. Per application, it costs under $1. Make absolutely certain you purchase food-grade and not pool-grade. Food-grade is safe for use around children and pets. The exact application method, every specific location, and the boric acid bait system for complete elimination, that is what comes next. The diatomaceous earth is in your hands. Now, I am going to tell you exactly where to put it and how much to use. Buying the right material and applying it incorrectly produces the same result as not buying it at all. Placement is everything. Let me walk you through the complete application process, room by room, exactly the way we approached it on the farm. The single most important rule is this: thin is everything. You are creating a barrier the roach cannot avoid because it is so fine. A thick pile is a pile a roach walks around. A thin, invisible dusting across a travel path is something a roach walks through unknowingly. The best application tool is a clean, dry squeeze bottle. Squeeze it gently, and it releases a controlled fine dust exactly where you direct it. A makeup brush or a dry paintbrush works equally well for spreading an applied amount into an ultra-thin layer. The kitchen is treated first because it is where 90% of roach activity is concentrated. Food, water, warmth, and darkness all exist here. Pull your refrigerator completely away from the wall. Apply a thin line of powder along the entire back wall where it meets the floor. The motor housing underneath the refrigerator is one of the most active roach harborage locations. Apply powder directly inside it using your squeeze bottle. Pull the stove away from the wall completely. Apply powder along the back wall, side walls, and the entire base. Inside every cabinet, apply powder around every pipe penetration. These gaps connect directly to the wall cavity where roaches travel. Open every lower cabinet door and apply a small amount into each hinge gap. Roaches use these as entry and exit points. Most kitchen cabinets have a removable kick plate. Remove it and apply powder along the entire back wall and floor of this hidden space. Diatomaceous earth loses effectiveness when it becomes wet. Dry the cabinet completely and fix any moisture source before you put anything back. Bathrooms provide roaches with water. A population pressured in the kitchen will migrate to the bathroom if it has not been treated. Apply powder along the wall behind the toilet and around every pipe penetration point. These are active travel corridors. A thin line of powder along the floor junction on both sides of the bathroom door intercepts roaches as they enter. Diatomaceous earth is passive. The second layer of the system is an active bait that draws roaches out of harborage. Here is the exact formula: 1 part boric acid, 1 part white flour, and 1 part white sugar. Mix these until fully combined. The sugar attracts roaches. The flour provides texture, and the boric acid disrupts the roach's digestive and nervous systems. Roll this mixture into small, pea-sized balls. Place them inside cabinet corners, behind the refrigerator, and near pipe pen. Replace the bait balls every 2 weeks. As they dry out, they become less attractive. Fresh bait maintains maximum effectiveness. In the first 48 hours, you may see more roaches than ever before. This is not the treatment failing. This is the treatment working. The first 2 weeks are behind you. The bait is working. The diatomaceous earth is doing what it has done for generations. Dead roaches are appearing in locations you treated. Visible activity is dropping. But this is where most homeowners make a mistake. They see improvement and they stop. They assume the problem is solved because the visible symptom has reduced. They stop refreshing the bait and maintaining the diatomaceous earth. They return to normal habits, and the population begins rebuilding. Within 6 weeks, they are back where they started and convinced that the natural method failed them. It did not fail them. They abandoned it at the moment it needed one more push. This part is about that final push and the hidden harborage locations. There are specific locations roaches use as permanent, deep harborage places they retreat to when surface areas are disturbed. The space inside your walls, around electrical outlets, Every outlet has a box behind it that connects to the wall cavity. Apply a very small amount of diatomaceous earth around the perimeter of that gap using a small brush. Replace the cover plate, the area inside and behind your dishwasher. A dishwasher provides warmth from the motor, moisture, and food residue. Apply diatomaceous earth along the floor, beneath it, and the back wall. Clean the door gasket with vinegar first. The space behind and beneath your water heater. The warmth and moisture create ideal conditions for roach harborage. Treat the floor around the base and wall penetrations. Place boric acid bait balls in the corners of the space. The false bottom inside your pantry. Many cabinets have a raised floor, creating a hidden space that is dark and enclosed. Cardboard boxes stored in your home. Roaches eat the glue used in cardboard. Replace them with plastic or glass containers. The entry point system. Roaches from neighboring units or outdoors will re-enter through the same pathways as the original population. Check every exterior door for the gap beneath it. A door sweep costs under $10 and installs in minutes. Seal gaps around pipes with steel wool packed tightly, followed by a layer of cork. Roaches cannot chew through steel wool. Run a thin bead of clear cork along the base of every baseboard in your kitchen. This closes the corridor permanently. The natural repellent layer. Establish an environment that makes your home unattractive to any roach that finds a way inside. Bay leaves are effective roach repellents. Place one leaf in each corner of every shelf and drawer in your kitchen. Cedar blocks or shavings produce a continuous repellent effect. Refresh them by lightly sanding the surface every 3 months. Peppermint oil on a cotton ball creates a repellent zone. The menthol compounds are deeply aversive to roaches. Overnight moisture is the one habit that determines longevity. Every water source left accessible is an invitation for survival. Empty and dry your pet's water bowl before bed. Wring out sponges and wipe your sink basin dry every night. This is a permanent solution built in layers. The next part covers specific scenarios, like apartments and severe infestations. Severe infestations are different from standard ones in one specific way. The population density is high enough that harborage locations are overcrowded. Roaches are being pushed out of their preferred deep harborage into secondary locations they would not normally occupy. You find them in places that make no sense. Inside electronics, behind picture frames, inside the hollow curtain rods above your windows, inside the motor housing of small kitchen appliances, inside the spine binding of books stored near the kitchen, behind wall calendars, inside the cardboard backing of framed photographs. When you are seeing roaches in locations like these, your infestation has reached a density where the standard treatment locations alone will not be sufficient. You need to address every secondary harborage location simultaneously with the primary ones or the population. Simply shifts between them as each area is treated. Let me walk you through exactly how the system adapts for severe infestations. Apartment situations, multi-generational problems, and complex external factors. Severe infestations, the accelerated protocol. When infestation density is high, the standard 2-week bait replacement cycle is too slow. You need to accelerate the bait contact rate to collapse the population faster than it can reproduce. Double the number of boric acid bait placement points immediately. In an accelerated protocol, place bait balls in every location where roach activity has been observed. Inside the toaster housing, behind the microwave, in the corner of every single drawer in the kitchen, along the back wall of every shelf. The goal is maximum bait contact points, so that every foraging roach encounters bait within its normal nightly travel range. Increase bait replacement to every 10 days during the first month. In high-density populations, bait balls exhaust faster and develop a surface crust. Add a second elimination layer, a boric acid and sugar water solution. Mix 1 teaspoon of boric acid with 1 cup of warm water and 1 teaspoon of sugar. Apply this solution with a clean brush along the back walls of cabinets and baseboards. As the water evaporates, it leaves a thin, crystalline residue. Roaches, walking across this residue, ingest it through grooming. 3 elimination mechanisms operating together is what collapses a severe infestation. Address every electronic device. Place each device in a sealed plastic bag with 2 tablespoons of diatomaceous earth for 48 hours. The fine dust permeates the interior spaces through ventilation gaps. Any roaches inside are dead or dying from dehydration within 48 hours. The space above your kitchen cabinets deserves attention. Apply diatomaceous earth and bait balls in the dark, dusty space on top of the cabinets. The apartment situation, when your neighbor is the problem. You cannot permanently eliminate roaches if adjacent units have active, untreated infestations. The wall cavity system is a continuous travel network. Your goal is making your specific unit so thoroughly hostile that the population does not establish. Treat every outlet box and switch plate on shared walls with diatomaceous earth. This is your primary defense against re-entry. Seal the baseboard gap on every shared wall with clear, pentable cork. This interrupts the most heavily used roach travel corridor in your apartment. A door sweep on your front door eliminates entry from the shared hallway. Use a heavy fabric draft stopper if your lease prohibits drilling. Request treatment of adjacent units in writing from management. Landlords carry a legal obligation to maintain habitable conditions. Multi-generational infestations. The population has had time to establish harborage throughout the entire structure, not just in the kitchen. Expect 4 to 6 weeks for dramatic reduction, and 8 to 12 weeks for complete resolution of all visible activity. Boric acid residue is carried back to deep harborage by foraging roaches, creating a secondary contamination effect deeper into the population. Accelerate results with a deep harborage flush. Spray a mix of equal parts vinegar and water into deep locations to force roaches into kill zones. Trust the system. Dealing with a serious infestation is demoralizing, but consistent application of a proven system is the only way to win. Everything we have built across these 4 parts comes together in this final section. The elimination protocol, the harborage treatment, and the entry point sealing. The apartment adaptations, and the accelerated protocol for severe infestations. Every piece of it functions as a single connected system. This part is where I show you how all of those pieces operate together as one, and how you maintain that system permanently with minimal effort. We will also handle the 2 remaining roach species that behave differently enough from the German cockroach to require specific adjustments for complete results. People ask me, does this really work on a bad infestation? The kind where you turn on the kitchen light and the counter moves. Yes, it works on that specifically because the system was designed for exactly that level of problem. Consider a 200-acre farm with grain storage. The conditions that created pest pressure on that farm were orders of magnitude more severe than anything the average homeowner faces. These methods will work. The American cockroach is a different animal entirely. It is significantly larger, reaching 2 inches, and is reddish-brown rather than tan. They are a sewer and basement species. They live in drains, sewer systems, and the gaps between foundation walls and soil. Finding one in your kitchen means they are foraging upward from a lower-level entry point. This distinction changes the treatment approach completely. Every floor drain needs a drain cover that seals tightly. A standard cover is not enough. they can push through it easily. Inspect the clean-out access cap for your main sewer line. If the cap is cracked or stripped, replace it immediately to close that connection. Cover crawlspace vents with fine, mesh hardware cloth. This prevents American cockroach entry along with mice, rats, and snakes. The diatomaceous earth application focuses on floor drains, surrounds, basement wall floor junctions, and foundation wall penetration. The Oriental cockroach is nearly black and smaller than the American. It is significantly more dependent on moisture than the other species. Eliminating moisture is the primary intervention. Condensation on pipes needs insulation, and damp basements require a dehumidifier operating continuously. Clear every window well drain of organic debris. Pack steel wool into the pipe and seal it with a tight-fitting cover. Now, the maintenance calendar. Every week, without exception, drain treatment. 1 cup of white vinegar, followed by boiling water. Every 2 weeks, visual inspection behind the refrigerator, the kitchen kickplate, and under the sink for signs of frass or egg cases. Every month, refresh diatomaceous earth in primary locations and replace bay leaves in all kitchen cabinets to maintain repellent effect. Every 6 months, pull out major appliances and clean behind them. Reapply diatomaceous earth along the wall floor junction before pushing them back. Integrated pest management works too well for the industry to implement it. These methods are tested against real conditions on working farms. Your home belongs to you. The pests in it are a solvable problem. You now have everything you need to solve it permanently.